Well, hello, and welcome to SoCal Prep Report. My name's Randy Rosenwald. It's Thursday at 9 o'clock, so you know I'm going to be on with my buddy, Tarek of the Daily News. We're going to talk a little football. Obviously, the NFL draft is going on, and so we'll get into that just a bit. But more importantly, everyone's talking about Aaron Rodgers. You know, he's a local guy because he's got a home in Malibu, right? The quarterback going from Green Bay to the Jets, got to make it a local story. And he's from Chico, California, Tarek.
Aaron Rodgers, I'll never forget the dazzling days of him at Cal and going up against those USC Trojans. Obviously, three-time MVP in the league. It's going to be really interesting four times. It's going to be really interesting to see how he does in that cold weather. You know, I know Green Bay, but it's a little bit different in the Northeast. I'm telling you, it'll be interesting. But either way, he's a pro, and I think they're going to win a lot of games.
Yeah, his press conference yesterday, he looked fit, looked like a different guy, had his hair cut. He's ready to go. But he lives in Malibu, so you know, it's cool. Thinking who might be the next cool customer is Bryce Young. You know, the former Modern Day star, went to Alabama, got drafted very high tonight, as you all know. We remember Bryce at Modern Day. Maybe he will be a great player like Aaron Rodgers.
I'll take you one step further. Not only do I remember him at Modern Day, I remember when he was at Cathedral, and I'll never forget when they were playing. I know we're seeing Modern Day highlights, and that's where he made his name. However, when he was at Cathedral as a freshman and a sophomore, I remember other coaches being like, "This kid's going to be really special." Literally untouchable because he was so elusive, and then would put the ball wherever he wants on the field.
I remember his last game when he lost to St. John Bosco. I was on the field. He's throwing Hail Marys to try to win the game. Just couldn't pull it out. But you saw against the Braves how great he was.
It's so interesting. Even in trying or losing time, so to speak, you can still see how talented these players are.
Yeah, and he can scramble. You can see him move here. He still has that ability. Coach Saban just loves this kid. And at Alabama, he just had a marvelous career.
The one thing I'll say, I don't know if it's a drawback or obviously people think, okay, he's a little light. You know, I maybe not as elusive, but he's kind of a Michael Vick type player, you know, kind of a smaller quarterback. Listen, guys, he's going to become a pro and they're going to put some weight on him. He'll be just fine.
Rodgers, Bryce Young, those aren't the biggest stories of the week. Tanya Wismann. Of course, Aaron Rodgers looks good in a Jets uniform. Tanya Wismann is the new flag football coach at Simi Valley. That's the big story.
Girls flag football.
Girls flag football.
Hey, just to add some more clarification there. Big news. It's great to see these schools go out and get a girls flag football coach. It's going to be rocking in the fall. I think the CIF is going to be very, very pleased with the participation and the excitement this new sport brings.
Let's meet Tanya. She's a lovely lady. Again, she's going to be the Pioneers flag football girls coach. Tanya, how did all this develop? And welcome to SoCal Prep Report.
Hello, hi, thank you for having me. I'm very excited to be here, excited about flag football.
So how did you become the head coach of the Pioneers?
I used to run the girls basketball program for about 7 years at Simi Valley High School. And then I transferred over to football and was the director of operations for Coach Banker. And when they brought up that they were going to bring this, you know, to our school, I wanted to be on the forefront of it. I've always been a female in, you know, athletics. And so this was a great opportunity for me. And I have a lot of backing from Simi Valley and the administration and the athletic department.
When it comes to finding an athlete on campus that wants to play the sport, what's a good, if you had to pick like, I'm going to go ask soccer players, I'm going to go ask softball, you know, what's a sport that you see translates the best, if at all, to flag football? Because my guess is you're going to have a lot of young ladies that play another sport and they're going to be interested in playing flag football. You know, what have you found in your, 1 week on the job, so to speak?
I think you can get a lot of different positions from all sports. I mean, you're going to have a ton of speed in soccer with the longer field versus a basketball court. But you've got, again, like the athleticism it takes to be in basketball, and then the arm, throwing with softball, and then just kind of like the play rules with lacrosse. I think all the sports you're going to be able to find like certain positions to fit each category. So I think having those athletes is going to be very helpful.
Tanya, you mentioned the word speed, and I would imagine with a 7-on-7 game and the field spread out a little bit, that's going to be the key component. Am I right with that observation?
Yes, one thing we've been talking about as thinking about which players we're going to want on the team is definitely having a lot of speed.
When you think about X's and O's, and I know we're kind of grilling you, and you haven't quite. I get it. But I know you've been thinking about it as someone who's, like you said, football operations. You watch the game. Listen, we could get Bill Belichick out there. Doesn't mean he'd be a good flag football coach. It's a completely different game. When it comes to X's and O's, and we talked about speed, how do you? Like, you have to almost teach the game differently with all these new young ladies coming in. You know, where do you start with that stuff?
That's a very good question, and I'm definitely finding my own start right now. But I mean, I've been working with I've been working with Coach Bankert and a couple other coaches that used to coach, and I'm starting to kind of correlate it for myself, just like what I know from basketball, because it is like X's and O's and thinking about man to man and having the faster team and how you would cover them and just kind of learning the offense and what would be best. Because like you said, it's very different from football. As much as I've watched football my whole life, I don't even know, you got Bill Belichick out there if he would do any better. But yeah, I'm definitely just correlating the stuff I know in the sports that, I grew up on.
I read where some 11,000 girls, listen at the last survey, were playing flag football around the United States. So obviously there's a pool of performers that want to get involved in your sport. At Simi Valley High School, how do you feel about the participation? Are they all stepping up to get involved? How many participants do you think you'll have?
Well, when we put it out, we already had 45 girls sign up. So I think we're going to get a lot of participation. I know the school's excited. I already have people wanting to help volunteer and get out there with me to help, start the program. I've got all of football, Simi Valley football is behind me. So I think it's going to be a really great, program for Simi Valley. And I think a lot of people are going to be excited to be involved with it.
Really simple one here, I promise. For the viewers at home are thinking, okay, flag football, what does that even look like? Can you share with our viewers some of the basic rules, like how long the field is, 7-on-7, or whatever you'd like to add?
So some of the rules that I've been learning is it is 7-on-7. All of the offensive players are eligible receivers, which obviously adds a whole dimension. I've been learning that the field is going to be, it could be 80 feet and then 50 in width. But they said shorter fields too. So I don't know if that's going to translate to tournament play versus league play. I've learned about how many players can be up on the line and behind the no contact, kind of being able to shield and not really block. So definitely going to be a learning experience for a lot of us. And I think part of the training at the beginning of our season is going to be just kind of understanding the game itself.
You mentioned Coach Bankert. That's Jim Bankert. He's been around a long time. He took a Westlake football team all the way to the state final and lost to De La Salle. He's turned around the Simi Valley football program. How much are you going to lean on Jim Bankert, and is he going to be willing to assist you in the process of ramping your team up?
He is awesome. He is the reason why I'm here, getting this job. He definitely supported me and had my back in it. And it's one thing we think is going to be beautiful at Simi is bringing girls flag football and football together as one big umbrella. He's definitely already told me I got his full support with even helping finding coaches and helping, set up parent meetings and getting my program off the ground. He's very excited. I think this is going to be great, and I think it'll help grow the program for both football and girls flag football.
I just got this image of Tanya out at PE at Simi Valley with a chart and a whistle, recruiting kids on campus to come out for the team. Yeah, my question is really just kind of about the quarterback position. Again, I know you're new and the girls are coming in, but it's a low-hanging fruit question. But the quarterback position, how important is it necessarily to have great arm strength? I know you mentioned that if the quarterback is pressured, they can run. Talk about that quarterback position, how important you think it is to girls flag football.
I honestly think it's going to be key, especially if like everybody on the field is a receiver in terms of offense. Because if you have the speed to get in front of the defense and you got a quarterback that can throw, I mean, that's a touchdown every time because of, the shorter field. So I feel like it's going to be key. Plus somebody that can think quick on their feet, right? So you can have multiple options considering you have 6 girls you could possibly throw the ball to. So I think that it will be a key position and someone that is quick, great arm, and definitely can think, very quickly to make a decision.
Now, I know it's a quicker game, but we were chatting before we came on air, and you said you can play up to 28 games. So in the fall, you're going to be very busy, aren't you?
I am definitely no stranger to being busy, but yeah, 28 games, and I think the more we play, the better we're going to get.
Last one for me. We did talk about this a little bit off air. I think the idea is fantastic, but maybe you can elaborate more on the idea of having those games on Friday nights before the football team plays. It sounded like something that's you're pro to that. Why? Why would it be so great to have girls flag football before Friday night football games?
I think with a growing program, it's good to start, with a well-known program, right? You're going to have a lot of people that already come out and support football. So being able to kind of like headline, I think it has like a concert, right? You see a big star and how a lot of people get their start is, going right before them. And I think that would help get girls flag football on the map because you already have this big setup for Friday Night Lights, right? And so having girls football kind of open that up as like the opening act, I think would be great. Later down the line, if we get our own night, awesome. But I think with a growing program that's new, this would be a really good start to be a part of like the big football Friday nights.
When I think of football, I think of physicality and these brutes running into one another. But with the girls flag football, there's really no blocking. It's all based on spreading teams out. It's not physical. It's based on skilled, isn't it?
It's not physical. It's going to be definitely based on your skills. It's going to be based on being able to outsmart the other team. And that's why I think speed's definitely going to play a factor. I mean, if you can't catch the girl, you're going to want to throw it to her or have her run it every time.
Well, Tanya, thanks for coming aboard. We really appreciate it. Best of luck. I can see by that smile you're excited to get going. Good luck to your Simi Valley Pioneers, and thanks for being with us this evening.
Thank you so much.
All right. Tanya's got it going at Simi Valley. 45 already signed up.
I've said it on this show when it first kind of started getting spoken about and things of that nature. I knew girls flag football was going to catch fire. It's going to. I've been talking to some private schools. I won't say them because I'm not trying to put it out there as a negative thing, but there are some private schools that have elected to not provide the sport. And I'm just looking at the ADs like, why? You're going to get girls that want to play it, and their gripe is like field time. Some of these private schools don't have large space like a Simi Valley or some of these public schools, so they think about sharing that field time, and you get coaches that are a little bit possessive of that field time. But all that to say, I think those private schools will find a way to do it because they're going to see how well participated the sport is.
And again, this is about equality for the ladies too. I mean, the men have their sport. The boys can play football. The girls need that opportunity. And around the country, it's going to be a breakthrough. You can't stop it. It's progress. They deserve their platform, and they're going to get it.
It's just a matter of time. Come on, man. It's just a matter of time before girls flag football is going to be so rampant. We're going to see girls transfer to play, just like we do football.
Sure.
Watch, it'll get that competitive.
Transfer portal. Maybe Tanya will get some players out of the portal. All right, Taft's girls beach volleyball team won the LA City Championship. A year ago, they had lost to El Camino Real. They got them on the beach again, and this time, hey, they turned it around on the Toreadors. Here you go, some shots of the finals, and Taft is the reigning city champions after this win over El Camino. And what I like about it, this is only the second year. El Camino won the first year out of the West Valley, Taft the second year.
Look at that backdrop. It's not a bad place to compete in a championship, is it? It's a great sport. It's a lot more difficult than it looks. I've had a little bit of experience in beach volleyball, and it is not easy. These girls are skilled. And it like you mentioned, kind of a newer sport when it comes to, not in general, but in regards to high school sports, and especially in the city, girls beach volleyball is new.
Yeah, it is tough to move around. The beach is more forgiving, so when you go up and you pound the ball and you come down, it's easy on the legs, but you can't get around. I tried to do it at one point, and it's difficult to say the least, and they make it look easy.
An outstanding accomplishment by the Taft Toreadors. Congratulations to them.
We have a lot of topics to discuss, so we're going to step out, hear from our buddies at Amtrak Pacific Surfliner, and then Tarek and I are going to light it up, cover a lot of different sports right after this.
California has always been a land of discovery. From historic gems to iconic beaches to top attractions. Let the Amtrak Pacific Surfliner be part of your journey as you explore more of the place we call home. Reconnect with the communities you love most, with the people you love most. Isn't it time you rediscovered Southern California?
You know, Tarek writes for the Daily News, and so I have to read his sports columns and some of the news things he breaks. And he wrote down about a guy, Braddock Kendrick. Mm-hmm. Now, are you from Village Christian, excels at volleyball and lacrosse? Okay, I get that. He's playing them at the same time?
That's
How's
right.
that possible?
It's really rare nowadays, Randy, as you well know. Multi-sport athletes are becoming more rare. And traditionally, it's, a kid that plays in the fall, football, maybe plays basketball in the winter, and then in the spring he runs track or plays baseball. And the ladies too, right? Volleyball, whatever. This young man is an anomaly. He's playing 2 sports in one season, lacrosse and volleyball, as you said. Here's the kicker. 4.3 GPA. I'm like, how do you do this stuff, Braddock?
You have to be a 4.3 student to figure out how to get the schedule. I mean, how do you do that?
Well, the challenge, too, a lot of people don't know, the CIF only allows for a student athlete to participate in 18 hours a week. So in, practice, games, it can only be 18 hours. So he gets with his coaches, and every week they lay out, okay, I need to be at this practice and then this game, or sometimes it'll be a practice day. He'll do an hour and a half of volleyball, then an hour and a half of lacrosse. Braddock Kendrick, only a junior, one name to keep an eye on. Great, humble kid.
You mentioned he plays volleyball. Let's throw out a kudo here to the Palisades Dolphins boys volleyball team in the city section. Last week we talked about how great their baseball team is and could be the top-ranked team when they go into the playoffs. Well, their volleyball team under Carlos Gray has been really good as well. We've been talking about Chatsworth and all the teams in the Valley, but the Dolphins are the defending champions.
The Palisades Dolphins seem to always be in the mix, man. It's like that charter school down there. Usually, if we're being honest, it's the country club sports. Usually it's like tennis, golf. But, hey, their football team is always good. Their basketball team is always in the mix. Baseball is likely to get a top seed, 1 or the 2, up there with Granada. So it doesn't surprise me. Palisades always seems to be in the mix at every sport. No surprise it's boys volleyball.
Yeah, and again, Carlos coaches both the boys and the girls, and they're always near the top, if not winning it, every single year. So we just wanted to give them a little bit of a shout-out because we've been talking so much about those West Valley League teams. Last week we had Huntington Beach's coach on, Jeff Forsberg, the head coach of the Oilers' #1 ranked softball team. At least we thought they were #1 because they had beaten Los Alamitos. Well, guess what? They played again Monday, and this time Los Al got revenge on a squeeze bunt, 5-4 to win it.
Outstanding play. This time of the year, Randy, look at that excitement. That's kind of the ethos of high school sports. When you get down to the end of the year, Randy, of course playoffs, right? That goes without saying. But at the end of the regular season, there's always a little something to play for, whether it be a league title, positioning in your league for a better playoff spot, and the games become have a little bit more of a buzz to them, and you get a dramatic finish like that.
And let's hear it for Juliet Halcomb, who got that bunt down. We don't see a lot of well-played small ball nowadays.
I was just going to say, kind of those fundamentals have been lost, right, when they should be foundational. Lay down a bunt and get a win. That's awesome.
Yeah, I'd love to see those two teams again in the playoffs. Obviously, they're from the same league. They played 3 times this year, and Los Alamitos has won 2 of the 3, so they'll be back in first place going into the playoffs. They'll be the #1 ranked team. But it'll be great, and I know Norco's terrific, and there's a lot of great softball teams, but it'll be great to see them meet up again in the tournament because their games are so well played.
I would hope that the CAF Southern Section Committee looks at that and puts them on opposite sides of the bracket. Not to say that it's favoritism, but maybe that you might get a final showdown in the final. But yes, there are other teams like Norco, Oaks Christian, very capable.
Notre Dame is the #1 team in baseball in Southern California and in the state. Tom Dill is their fine coach. He told me he wants to be on the program. We might have him next week, scheduling permitting. Tom's got a great team. They've won the league, the Mission League Championship. I know you think they are very, very good.
They've proven time and time again this year why they're the #1 team in the state. But also, I was actually speaking with Tom Dill today on this beautiful Thursday, and I did mention, and he was talking about how rare it is for the Mission League to be won with a week left to play. It always comes down to the final couple games or the final week of the season. And here's Notre Dame was so dominant in a very tough and nationally renowned league. They had the thing locked up with a week left to go. So it just goes to show you how good this team is. Tom Dill is primed for another appearance in the CIF final. Don't forget, they got there last year, fell short. I know there's players on that team that are hungry to get back there again.
Yeah, Jay Serra beat them. How good's Justin Lee, the pitcher at Notre Dame?
They got 4 studs that can throw from the bump, and Justin Lee is probably the best one. Oliver Boone pitching extremely well. Those are the 2 studs for Notre Dame.
And they got guys coming out of the bullpen too. So that's a very good team in the Mission League. But I like the team that finished second, Harvard Westlake Wolverines. They're coming on like gangbusters.
Never heard of them. No, kidding.
Yes, you have.
Yeah, the Wolverines, I got to watch them this week against Crespi. They locked up second place in the Mission League. They're on a 12-game winning streak. So when you talk about playing the right baseball at the right time, they're it. Because I want to say at one point they were 6-6, 9-7. That's a lot of losses for that Harvard Westlake team, which is usually nationally ranked and is nationally ranked. You're thinking, what's going on here? But they've found their stride. They're playing good baseball.
The name I hear about is Will Gasparino.
Oh, yeah.
Tremendous offensive player. He was injured earlier in the year.
Correct. And
missed a lot of time. Since he's come back, they've been almost unbeatable.
Center fielder. He's about 6'7". He looks like a basketball player. He's kind of long and athletic, but what an outstanding athletic player and a lot of bat speed and bat power. 2 weeks ago, came down to the final inning against Sierra Canyon twice in 1 week. First one, a walk-off home run. The next day, walk-off single. They won both games. Of course, obviously that's what walk-off means. Will Gasparino could be. They talk about him being a first-round draft pick, Randy, so we'll see.
Can he be like Aaron Judge? Can he put on the weight and become a powerful home run threat?
So that's the comp. Obviously, it's hard to see that and forecast that. However, that's what they're thinking. Someone tall and big like that.
I want to bounce back to softball because I kind of skipped it and I probably shouldn't have. I see this note, true grit.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking
John
Wayne. I saw that, I think, out of one of your columns. So what does true grit in softball mean?
Well, listen, if you saw it, it was a quotation from the coach. The Louisville softball coach said, hey, this team is true grit. And she was talking about Hayden Luderer, who is going to New Mexico, and we have a video of this and a photo, but you have never seen this, I'm telling you. This is how tough this girl is, and this is the grit that the coach is talking about. There she is batting with a hard cast on her right hand and being effective. So fast, she just tries to slap at the ball and put it in play and tries to get to first base. She's an outstanding athlete, and Louisville, that was what the story was about, is how gritty and tough. There's the photo with her with the cast. I mean, you've been around a long time, Randy. Have you ever seen anyone play with a hard cast on?
Probably, but I can't bring it up right now.
Sure.
But I think it's probably happened, but it's got to be difficult. It's got to be very irritating to play with.
That's what she said. So she's usually an infielder and fast and quick hands, and so she's playing first base, so she doesn't really she can't throw. Her cast won't let her hold the ball, so she plays first base and tries to find ways not to throw the ball, I guess.
All right, let's bounce back to baseball and the Trinity League. Santa Margarita won that league. Very similar to Notre Dame. They dominated the league for the most part, swept Mater Dei a week ago. Santa Margarita, they're another team that's a threat in the CIF Southern section.
The 2 leagues everyone talks about in Southern California when it comes to baseball is the Mission League and the Trinity League. And for Santa Margarita, by the way, to beat out teams like Orange Lutheran and Jay Serra, it tells you how good they are, right? I mean, it's like this team must be good because of who they had to beat out to win the league. Santa Margarita, probably a force to be reckoned with in the playoffs.
Yeah, that's a valid point. I mean, Jay Serra, again, we mentioned, won the championship last year. They're the team that knocked off Notre Dame, and they're struggling to even get in the playoffs. So that's how good the Trinity League is in baseball.
If I'm not mistaken, I think Jay Serra's been to the last 3 Division I.
The set's falling apart.
Okay, all right.
It's a hot Thursday, and things like that happen,
I think they've been to the last 3 Southern Section Division I finals. They won the first one, then lost to Harvard Westlake, and then you said they won last year, and they beat Notre Dame. So they've been there 3 times in a row.
Damien and Etiwanda is one of the great rivalries in sports. I've seen it in basketball. Their 2 baseball teams are tremendous. They're going to get in the playoffs, and they have 3 hitters. I'm going to read these guys and their totals. Andrew Carter, 460. Tyler Daly, 355. Jeff Hernandez, 345. These teams can score runs. We don't think about the baseline that often, but Etiwanda and Damien, great in sports, are great in baseball.
2 teams to keep an eye on. I don't know what their playoff projections are, because those are teams, not that they're not good teams, but when you run into some heavy hitters in the playoffs, there are some more teams that are seasoned and experienced. So it's interesting to see how those teams will do from the baseline league. However, any kid from that baseline league is usually a tough kid. So it's going to be those are going to be good teams to watch out for in the postseason.
Normally near the end of the show, I talk to Tarek, what are you going to do tomorrow or over the weekend? Well, I know where I'm going to be Saturday. We're going to talk about this for a little bit. I'm going to be at the Cheer Championships, and we're excited about it. They're the Cheer Championships for the LA City section. Yeah, I got to get up early. The crew's got to be there before 6 a.m. We're going to start the show at 9 a.m. There's 24 teams competing. It's going to be 93 degrees.
Oof.
It's going to be warm in Lake Balboa. But I will have great commentators with me, and Jill Montgomery and Travis Neese and Kara Blumfield will be doing some sideline reporting, getting the interviews. Tarek, each team gets 2.5 minutes.
Okay.
There's 3 different categories. Non-tumbling small. Then we got the large division and the smaller division that are full-scale teams. So there's going to be 3 divisions. I think this is going to be an absolute blast, and there'll be a big crowd at Birmingham, and it's outside in the football stadium.
I think what people will see is that cheer is far more competitive than they give it credit for. I think it's a lot of hard work. It's a lot of athleticism and strength put on display, and that's what you're going to see Saturday morning. I would advise anybody to tune in because that's going to be quite the event. Now, 93 degrees does not sound fun, but I'll be praying for you.
Yeah, thank you. Well, and for the competitors, they're only going 2.5 minutes. So
they'll be fine.
They'll be fine, and they're in great shape anyway. The word I hear from most of the coaches is they talk about the spirit and the unity and the chemistry of the teams and the camaraderie. I hear that more from the cheer teams and their coaches than maybe any other sport.
Well, when you think about cheer, you think about a group trying to get people excited for a game, but in this circumstance, they've got to kind of get each other fired up for a competition. And anytime there's a trophy at hand to win, you know you got to bring your A game.
And a little later in our Amtrak Pacific Surfliner beautiful TV package that we're so thrilled about, we're going to have the volleyball championship of the LA City section. There it is, live at 6 o'clock from CSUN. And I know you love that venue for this event.
Great job by CSUN to get City Section Sports in that arena. It used to be called the Matadome. Now it's called,
always the Matadome.
Yeah, agreed. I like that, Randy. You're right. It is always going to be the Matadome to everybody in the Valley. However, I'm just giving a kudos to CSUN. They got the girls volleyball championships in there in the fall, and it was fantastic, and now they got the boys.
What are you doing this weekend? Come on, you didn't give me a good answer last week. You didn't know where you were going.
No, you're right. This weekend, on Saturday, I'll take a visit over to Notre Dame, Sherman Oaks. Mm-hmm. They're not playing, but going to work on a feature story, visit with the team a little bit, and then relax on Sunday. But really, Monday is the big day. The CIF Southern Section is going to announce the playoff pairings for the baseball playoffs.
Now, do you have any idea why you're going to Notre Dame? Is there one person you want to hone in and get a story about?
Well, I want to talk a little bit to Tom Dill. I mean, the guy's been coaching for almost 40 years, and he's got a really great team. I want to ask him, is this the best team maybe you've ever coached? His answer will probably be no. But Dean West, to me, is one of the most interesting players for Notre Dame. He's fast. He does everything. He steals bases. He hits for power. He hits for average. Really, really splendid player, and I'm looking forward to getting to know him a little better.
You beat me again because I might have Dill on here next week. You're going to scoop me with your story in the Daily News.
No, I'll leave a little something
Leave
there for
a
you.
little bit of an open.
You got it.
That's going to do it. The half hour went fast on this Thursday. For Tarek Fatal, we'll see you next week. I'm Randy Rosemel. You know the spot, LA 36, live at 9 each Thursday. And remember, this Saturday, just in a couple days, the cheer championships of the LA City section on Saturday morning, 9 a.m. Join us. For Tarek, I'm Randy. We'll see you next week right here on SoCal Prep Report. Good night, everybody.
Randy, you need to get just on camera. I don't know if you need to like shoot it, then play it later. We got to get you doing a cheer on Saturday.
I want to do a tumble. I'm going to do some
now
acrobatics. I think.
You could hurt yourself.
I might hurt
All
myself.
I'm saying is get a pom-pom, do a cheer, we'll run it on the show.
Well, hello, and welcome to SoCal Prep Report. My name's Randy Rosemel. It's Thursday at 9 o'clock, so you know I'm going to be on with my buddy, Tarek Fatal of the Daily News. We're going to talk a little football. Obviously, the NFL draft is going on, and so we'll get into that just a bit. But more